Welcome, everybody, to the Proactive Adventure Health and Wellness Podcast. Today, I'm here with Dr. Phil Lombardo. Phil, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Joe. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming out here.
Yeah, man. Good to be here.
Now, Phil's been a member of the group since November 2018. So we're coming on 5 years now.
Yeah, it feels like 10, 20
It
easily.
does.
Yeah.
I feel like I've known you my whole life.
Yeah. But I still remember that first hike, you know? It was a great group and still is, and so yeah.
Schunemunk, November 2018.
Yeah. I don't know why, for some reason I always remember walking in and walking out. That little field that's out there?
Yes. We have some really cool pictures of us walking through that field.
Yeah.
I remember them vividly.
It's probably the least exciting part of the hike, but I don't know why. It's tremendous.
It probably has to do with us chatting on the way up. We had a lot of talking. I remember that first day I connected with you. You were talking about MovNat.
Yeah.
And I felt like you had carved out your own space in that, and that really impressed me on you. I want to start from the beginning with you, because I know you really well. Like I say to everybody on this show.
Oh, you think?
I think I know you well, but then I always start to learn more.
Yeah.
As a child, were you an athlete as a child?
Yeah, but in the stereotypical American way.
How so?
Baseball, basketball, played after school with my friends. I played wiffle ball on the street, football in the street, hockey I remember playing at some points. Organized sports, played baseball, practice games, that's just what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And so then high school, same thing, 3-sport varsity athlete.
Huh.
But again, just totally stereotypical, a carbon copy, exactly what you would
just
imagine.
doing the sport.
Exactly, and I was good at everything, not amazing at anything. No point scored, no nothing. My name is on the wall at the school, but as a student athlete and for achievement, not for any. You'll never see me as MVP of any team.
Did you take it seriously, or?
I did. I mean, I never hit that level that all the kids hit now. When I was growing up, a couple of kids went to basketball camp or went to an AAU league or something else like that, and I never took it to that next level.
You have any outdoors experience?
Yeah, this is the funny part is my dad would take us hiking. Because otherwise, playing outside was literally my backyard wiffle ball, my backyard basketball on the street.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we played outdoors. My dad took us hiking to Flat Rock Brook.
Okay.
In Englewood.
Yep.
Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Do you know how long that trail is?
I don't know offhand. How long is it?
I think it's 0.8 miles.
There you go.
So we would do it down and back, 1.6 miles, and I always remember that we would end up at the stream, and inadvertently my brother or I would get our foot in the water. And so someone was complaining and crying, and that's it.
I'm sure, and I think I said the same thing to Joel on the last episode, but that 1.6 miles, when you were a kid, did that feel like longer?
No.
No?
It just felt like, what are we doing? What's the purpose of this? That's the one thing that I always remember. Why are we going here? What's the purpose? What is, the purpose of doing this?
So you didn't enjoy it?
No. It wasn't a torturous, but it was definitely yay, where are we going now? Again, I wanted to play basketball with my friends. I wanted to go to the park. I wanted to do things along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad was kind of dragging us to do it.
Was your dad a hiker? Was he an outdoorsman?
No, he just, he was definitely physically active his whole life and, kept active and was in great shape, but I wouldn't say he was an outdoorsman by any means. Mm-hmm. Again, I couldn't tie a freaking knot. I couldn't start a fire. I couldn't do literally anything that you think about me now was completely non-existent 20, 30 years ago.
So where did your affection for the outdoors begin?
Maybe in my early 20s or late 20s. I just see this transition to curiosity and interest. I remember hiking with my wife now up Bear Mountain for the first time.
And when was that?
That was probably about 20 years ago, early 2000.
Okay.
So I'm in my late 20s at that point. And I remember we hiked up and we're going up to Perkins Tower, but we didn't have maps then. We didn't have all trails. So we get we keep going around a bend, we can't find this freaking tower. And we end up turning around and coming back.
So you never got to the tower?
Never got to the tower. 6 months later, we go back.
Uh-huh.
Sure enough, it was like a tenth of a mile past where we were.
Of course.
And this was back then. We got into hiking so that we could, like bring a bottle of wine and sit and drink and, hang out and just be outside for a little bit.
Was it her suggestion that you went hiking or yours?
Yeah, she was the one that totally got me hooked on it.
Okay.
And I started going out more and more. We would go over at Ramapo Reservation, Ramapo Mountain, Bear Mountain. Those are the three that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I've always been like that mentality of I want to do if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm out. Like, just don't. I'm not even gonna like. This is why I don't play golf, because I'm either gonna go in all in.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna go once a year and play golf. I'll be all in. So the same thing with hiking. Once I started, I was like, damn, I really like this. This is interesting. It's exciting. It's different. It's something different that you can do. Every single hike that you go on is going to be a different place, different people, different conditions, different weather. And to me, that's exciting. That's what I want more of in my life.
So then now 20 years ago, when you went hiking, at Bear Mountain, what point in your life were you at? Were you in school still? In college still?
No, I had graduated by then. I graduated 2002 with my doctorate from NYU. I was working. I had worked at a hospital in the Bronx. And again, my social life was going to ball games, going to clubs in the city, and, hanging out with friends. That was it. And then it wasn't until this, I guess maybe late 2000s that I just started getting out more and more. And then it became a thing to really do, to try to explore we haven't gone here yet. And my patients actually were the ones that turned me on to different spots. I remember the first patient that told me about Chickahominy Falls.
Over in Northern Green, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember being like, I can't believe that there's a waterfall 1 mile away. Like, it's an easy hike, no problem. And then at that time I had like a 3-year-old, and I would literally put him on a backpack and go in. And I remember I'd wake up on Tuesday morning, we would go down to music class. From music class, we would go on the hike, and then we would go pick up some groceries or something like that. But just having that hike in there, he'd be in my backpack. He would fall asleep at 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So I'd end up carrying him back to the car, passed out, fast asleep. His head was dangling over the pack. But it was our thing that we did.
So what did you go to school for exactly?
So I got my undergraduate degree is almost completely BS. I don't even know. I don't know. Maybe it was biology or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. But then I went and got my doctorate for physical therapy.
Now, why'd you do that?
The story goes that in my junior year in high school, as I was playing basketball and everything else, I realized that scoring 3 points a game was not going to be a profession that I was going to accelerate in as a college or a professional basketball player. And I finally gave up on my dreams of being Michael Jordan.
Was that your dream of playing basketball?
I was going to be Michael Jordan. Like, from the time I was 8 till probably 17, maybe I should have let go of it a little bit sooner, but I was going to be Michael Jordan. That was my dream. Then everyone told me that I was good at math, so I should go into engineering. And then somebody told me about physical therapy. And I said, that actually sounds interesting. It sounds like you're deciding, you're making medical decisions. There's a lot of thought process involved in it and to how you can help people to heal. Mm-hmm. But then you're also working with people. So I did 100 hours of volunteer work at Columbia University, and I decided, this was what I wanted to commit to. Went to NYU. I was there for 6 years, commuting into the city for 5 of them, and I'm working part-time, just that was my life all the time. And so, that's what I've been doing ever since.
So what did the person say to you about physical therapy?
Literally, it was the guidance counselor saying that these are the top 3 professions. And then it just stuck in my gut. The top 3 professions were financial analyst, and I was like, no way. Computer technician, which part of me, to be honest, was interested in that because it's, solving problems and figuring shit out. And so that sounded interesting. But then the physical therapy, really, sparked my interest. And again, they're just reading off a freaking piece of paper, Joe.
Yes.
I mean, this was blind luck that they happened to mention that to me. If they hadn't, I might have picked a different major, gone into something else. Who knows?
Your whole life would be different.
Who knows? Butterfly effect, right?
At that point, was fitness important to you?
So when I was 17, so I graduated high school. I was 6 foot tall, 129 pounds, dripping wet. My basketball jersey was hanging off of me. I was not by any means the peak of what you would call athleticism. But again, I accelerated. I was the #1 200-meter runner on my track team. I was starting point guard for the basketball team and the #3 runner on the cross country team. So by all means, I was accomplishing things.
Yeah.
But if you looked at me, you wouldn't pick me for, the national team or to have any future potential.
Yeah.
So anyway, at 17, I get my mom to buy me a barbell set for my house. So I'm in my bedroom, and the freaking set had literally, you had to use a wrench to tighten. You know how the weights like just clip right on?
Yeah, yeah.
No, the one that I got was so freaking cheap that you had to use a wrench to tighten. So every time you took the weights off, you had to loosen the bolt, take it off,
Find your
put the weights
tools.
back on. Exactly. So obviously that got me nowhere fast.
Mhm.
It was just a pain in the ass. And I was lifting for a little while, not putting on any weight. I was eating freaking cereal, peanut butter and jelly, and cookies. So you're not going to put on muscle mass that way. There was no technology. There was no science behind it. There's no one kind of leading and guiding you at that time. And so that went nowhere. College, I did start to find the weight room. I started to discover eating real meals on the meal plan. So that helped out a little bit, but I would say nothing started till after I graduated and I really started lifting a little bit heavier.
So what pushed you in that direction after you graduated?
Just friends. It was just people that I knew and that would help me and gave me a little bit of guidance from their experiences that had a little bit more experience. And I would say if that was one thing, that a theme that you'll see throughout my life is that having little people to give me exposure to something has absolutely changed the course of my life.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah. That guy, Jason Ruda, I'll give him a shout out right now. He was the one that got me into the gym. It was Dolphin Fitness in the Bronx. We went at 5:30 in the morning before work, and we went over to work together, and then that's where, just picked up from there. Yeah.
Do you feel like being a physical therapist, because now you're a physical therapist then at that point, do you feel like that helped make you appreciate fitness more or take it more seriously?
Not at that time.
Not at that
because I was working in a hospital, so you're getting a lot of older patients. I was seeing patients that were the day after they had their hip replaced, the day after they had their knee replaced, the day after they had open heart surgery. So a lot of them were older, deconditioned, very seriously debilitated, diabetic, a lot of multiple comorbidities. So yeah, it does give me some perspective into just stay healthy. But regarding athleticism, I wasn't really getting motivated yet.
Mm-hmm.
Once I started the job that I'm at now at the New Jersey Center of Physical Therapy, then I started to see more of these post-operative orthopedic cases, people getting injured more. And that's what made me say, oh shit, the status quo and just keeping it as it is not gonna work.
So it's almost like you were seeing people just waiting to get to the point where they'd see you at the hospital.
Exactly.
Because they just let it go for so long.
Yeah.
And then in this new place, now you're seeing it more as, like a fail-safe so you don't get to that point.
Yeah. It's so nice. One of the most rewarding things I've ever done is working with teenagers where I'll do a movement screen with them, an analysis. It takes 10 minutes, but I get a little glimpse of them from head to toe. I take that information and I give them a little bit of a guidance. Now, again, am I making huge corrections? No, not at all. But I'm giving them a 1-degree nudge. And I like the analogy of the ship, 2 ships sailing. And if you turn 1 degree, it doesn't seem like a big turn, but 5 years later, 10 years later, it's going to make a big difference. And that's what I hope to accomplish. Is with people, if I can educate them on one thing, if it's their posture, if it's just educating them so that they're aware of why this shit is happening to them, then that would be very, very rewarding to me.
What kind of things do you look for?
Joe, I have no idea. I have no.
Is it a sixth sense you have?
There is an answer to it. And scientifically over the years, I've looked at motion, lifestyle, habits, their emotional and mental state about things, how they feel about their injury. There's so many different components to what I'm looking at. But I think that one of the things that I do best, humbly I'll say, is that being able to look at the whole picture of the person, again, including literally looking in their eyes and seeing like what the hell is going on for them. Because you understand that and you can help them to achieve their goal and you can give them that one pearl. We want to fix people. If I showed you my specialty and I treated everybody with my specialty, probably 75% of them I wouldn't have connected with and they wouldn't have gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
So because I can be open-minded, try to release my ego a little bit as much as I possibly can, I can treat them with what they need and I can give them a pearl or a thing that's going to make, again, that 1 degree shift in difference. I think in today's world, we're trying so much to be spectacular and, go back and say that Michael Jordan, that nobody wants to be, Tony Kukoc or Scottie Pippen. And sometimes that's your role. And if you can accept that, you'll be able to help out and contribute a lot more.
So you might even be fixing people's mindsets and not just their bodies.
I would say it's 50-50. 50-50 all the way. There's no doubt that emotionally making people feel comfortable with me, making people feel comfortable with their injury and understanding like what's going on with life, that's so much of it. And it's so much of missed in medicine.
Let me go back to something. So you were at the hospital. How long were you working at the hospital for?
2 years.
2 years. And what made you jump over to, where are you now again?
The New Jersey Center of Physical Therapy.
New Jersey Center of Physical Therapy.
We're the largest privately owned private practice in New Jersey for physical therapy. So many of the private practices have sold out to corporations or venture capitalisms. They get more funding.
Mm-hmm.
So we are literally run by physical therapists and we are all physical therapists. And so it's great that you're able to think about how you want to run the business simply from that mindset, not thinking we have to meet quotas and we have to meet all this and stuff, so we can focus on treating patients. I was introduced to the CEO and he is absolutely hands down my number one mentor within the profession and within my professional career.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Burton, really opened my eyes to just the thoughts of emotional intelligence and mindfulness and awareness. And he really helped to push me to become more of a leader and to become, somebody who could help to run the business. And I've grown to become one of the vice presidents of the organization, and proudly so, because I've been doing this for so long. I can run a caseload and have my own practice, and that would be successful. I have almost no doubts about that. And I say that humbly, I have no doubts about that. But what I love doing is sharing that with other people. Probably similar to the way that you love. You could go on probably millions of miles of hikes this year, but if you did it all by yourself, you would not be satisfied.
Totally. It'd be a totally different situation.
Exactly. So the same thing, having new doctors join our organization, having people that are, I want to go into physical therapy school. Can I work with you guys for a year before I, get more experience, and then I'm going to apply to schools. Fucking love that. I love that. I love connecting with them. I love, they're younger, they have more energy than I do. And if I can convey a small fraction of my experiences with them, it's awesome.
Well, it sounds like Dr. Burton, right, had a big effect on the way you treat people, and it sounds like you're passing that right on.
100%. The environment that he created, some of the interns and the schools that we've worked with have referred to it as a utopia. And it really is. I mean, so much of physical therapy is factory run and you just go in, you work. They're truly employees. And I don't see that this way. I've said this since I've been there 20 years. And I've said that since 3 years or 5 years that I was there. I feel like my name is on the door. I feel like every patient that I see leaves that practice and is going to say, Dr. Lombardo helped me, didn't listen to me. Whatever they say, positive or negative, is on me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because my boss was, something, or he was an idiot, or he didn't let me do this. It's because of me. And I take full responsibility for anything that goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud and excited of so many of the successes and seeing the patients achieve their goals. So, yeah, I'm blessed.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how important it is for people to carve out their own thing. So it sounds like you're in a place where you're doing your own thing over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's within a structure. But I feel in integrity. I believe in the structure. I fully support the structure. I have a voice and a vote into the structure. So it's really, really nice. And, we were talking about this morning about people that have to go into work and have to sit in traffic and have to do all this stuff. And, I've never felt that way. I felt that, I'll go in and do overtime or go in on my off day, and it's because it's my freaking choice, not because I have to. Because a patient's making a commitment to me, I'm going to make a commitment to them. I'm going to meet them halfway. So it's great to very, 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 very fortunate to be in that position.
If you could share with me, what do you think your greatest success story is from working there?
Man, that's hard because it's to me it's the emotional connection with each individual patient.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, there's no one case. I mean, I've had total knee replacements that rehab in 1 to 2 weeks. They're just outliers. But I genuinely believe that I helped them by giving them the emotional support going into things. I had this one guy, he was in his early 70s. He comes in, he goes, Phil, look, three of my friends told me to get a knee replacement. It was the greatest thing they ever did. 3 of them said it was terrible. And I said, man, you're going to have the outcome that I know you, and you're going to have the outcome that you think you're going to have. If you come out of this ready to go and you're like thinking your mindset is like, okay, let me get to work and I can make this successful, then it's probably what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, he came out and he was like walking around the block, and he was walking every day. He wasn't sitting at home. And granted, everything did go physiologically well, but his mindset is what really set him up for him. We were done in like, I think 2 or 3 weeks. And I was like, Dean, I don't have anything left to do with you. And he's like, yeah, I know. And I said, I'm sad to see you go, but freaking A, good job. And so it's nice just have those, know that it's not just the anatomical mindset, but also the emotional mindset. We're human beings, and we have emotions and that are a component of everything. People that are listening to this are either tuned out or maybe excited or whatever, but they're having emotional responses, and we have to accept that. You can't argue it. You can't be like, oh, well, they're wrong. They're having emotional responses, and my patients do the same thing. And if I can hear those emotional responses and understand what they need, the entire outcome is going to be so much more. My treatment that I do is going to be so much more effective and successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's sometimes difficult to get that through to people?
Absolutely. It's not easy by any means. It is emotion. My job, I would say, can be on tough days are emotionally exhausting days. When patients are coming in and they have, they have their own frustrations, they have their own, downturns, and I need to be a support for them as much as I'm, helping them medically. They also get to see me on a regular basis more than any other medical doctor that they see. So they have more connection with me. And I love that. They ask me more questions. I'm the first person that they call, which is an incredible, very rewarding and very, very fulfilling. But it can also be, on some days, very, very emotionally taxing and trying. And, I just have to remind myself every day that, I get to go to work. It's just like going to the gym. Like, I get to go to the gym, I get to go to work, and if I keep that mindset with me, then, it's okay to do the hard work.
What do you feel equipped you with the ability to emotionally connect with people like that?
This is where my mentor, Dr. Burton, really, he's just been so at the forefront of this within our profession. I'm not saying that nobody's talking about this anywhere, but as far as like a small business owner, he has really equipped us with the tools, like I said, emotional intelligence, going back to the work of Daniel Goleman, and just leadership training that focuses on personal development. And, if he had just spent all those hours teaching me to be a better doctor of physical therapy through clinical answers and clinical education, there's no way I'd be where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And so he really paved that way for me and for everyone in our organization. And again, it's been truly life-changing, not only in how I treat my patients, but the amount of fulfillment that I have at work, the relationships that I have with people at work, the relationships that I have with people out in the rest of my life, my family, my kids, even socially, just knowing when, okay, I don't want this person in my life, and I do want this person in my life, and maybe I need to work on, instead of thinking that they're pissing me off and that they're annoying, saying, okay, I just need some space, but I really love this guy. you know? I think about John. So John and I have a lot of good conversations when we're out hiking.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're hiking for 2 or 3 days straight, and I'm like, oh, John, he always talks about this topic and this, and then I say, well, I love talking to John about that topic. I just think I've had enough of John right now, and John's probably had enough of me at certain times.
Yeah.
And that I could say, that's what's going on. But to be able to recognize that is, like we said this morning, just people waking up and seeing what's going on for their life and really recognizing what's happening versus just going through the motions. Yeah. That's emotional intelligence in a nutshell.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Sum it up.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. Where did MovNat come in
Yeah.
with all of this?
Yeah, this is fun. So about 7 years ago, so a patient came in. He told me about this biomechanist. Her name is Katie Bowman. She's out in, I think, Portland, somewhere up in the Pacific Northwest. And she's just super cool, super nerdy, super funny, and very down to earth, but very smart. And so I was listening to her podcast for a little while. And then she talked about this organization called MovNat, or Natural Movement. And the same thing as when I was going on those hikes and feeling just connected to it very naturally. This organization had something similar too. There was so much more to fitness and than just going to the gym or a statistic that you can come up with. I was doing CrossFit at the time, and CrossFit, you measure yourself against everyone else that's there, and you have certain benchmarks against certain workouts, and what time did you do, and how many reps did you do, and that's it. And MovNat, the mindset is simple human capability. So what are you physically capable of doing? And to me, it just makes sense. Maybe I'm getting older, right? Because how long can I sustain lifting more weight? How long can I add more plates? If I'm at 200, can I go to 225? Sure, maybe. Can I go to 250? Maybe. Can I go to 270? At what point? That's going to stop at some point.
Absolutely.
Either something's going to break, or I'm going to get out of it for a little while, and then what? I'm going to start over and start going back for those same goals, or what are my goals going to be when I'm 50, 60, 70?
Yeah.
And this is based on just human capability. Can I get up off the ground? Can I hang from a bar? Can I carry objects? And I think society has gotten so lost on trying to come up with the best and this answer, and this athlete's doing this, so I should do it. I'm not saying that's wrong. But I'm just saying, when we follow that someone else's path, it's not going to get us the results that we want.
It's funny to me that a lot of people do other exercises, almost to be able to do, they're trying to promote longevity, which I almost see MovNat as the end result.
Yeah.
Of what you want to be able to do. So it seems like it's a good idea to be doing it the whole time.
Exactly. And again, I don't want to take anything away from strength training. I don't want to take anything from weightlifting. I still do that stuff.
Yes.
But this needs to be a component of, if your fitness is really your goal, or what is your goal of fitness, tell me MovNat doesn't have it, because I will challenge you to the grave about that. You can work on endurance, you can work on mobility, you can work on strength, you can work on biomechanics, you can work on anything that you want to do. And it's pretty much got it covered in there. Because it's based on human movements, and that are evolutionary, that are instinctual, that are universal. Doing a snatch at the gym is extremely beneficial, and there's a lot of great things that you get out of it, but there's no way that that's universal to everybody in society.
Of course.
So, again, if your long-term goal is general health and wellness, going to the gym is a good way to accomplish that. But are you really gonna, just by getting stronger, is that really going to improve longevity? And not just the longevity. A lot of people are talking now more about the quality of that time. So if you live to 90, that's great. But if you're in a wheelchair because you can't get up and walk, that's a whole different story.
Is that quality, right?
Exactly.
So when you heard about MovNat,
yeah,
and you started to dig into it, what was one of the first things you saw that really attracted you to it?
Just the variety, man. I spent 2 days. So I went to New York City, in Central Park, I think, and I'm there for 2 days, basically. No, 2.5 days. It was Friday evening, Saturday and Sunday, doing a level 1 certification. And I came back on Sunday morning, and everyone circles up. There's about 25 of us, and they say, "How's everyone feeling?" And one guy, my hips are a little sore, my back's a little tight. I said, "I feel like 5 years young, 10 years younger, because I had so much added in variety, almost like nutrients. Like you can eat healthy, but if you're just eating avocados, like avocados are healthy, they're good for you. But if you just eat freaking avocados or just eat blueberries, it doesn't work. You need vitamins, minerals, protein. You need, and again, you want to get that from good sources. And that's exactly what MovNat, I feel like, brings, is it brings that extra micronutrients into your fitness that you weren't getting before. And so it should end up with a sense of feeling more revived, accomplished, that you did things that you didn't know that you could do. I mean, again, we're out in the grass, rolling on the ground, we're jumping, rolling, climbing, jumping over objects. So it was pretty cool, and just the sense of accomplishment. I've never gone to the gym and done a workout and hit a weight. Again, I feel somewhat accomplished, but not the way I do when you accomplish a skill. The front vault for me was that. So you're jumping, imagine I'm in New York City, I'm in Central Park, and there's a bar about 4 feet high off the ground. I have to jump with 2 hands, throw myself over it, straight over it, not side, not going to the side, and hope that my toes don't catch.
Okay.
Right? So to me, and me and my friend Sarah were there at the certification, and we were both struggling with it. Everyone else nailed it, and he said, "Look, guys, I'll give you till tomorrow morning. Just relax, don't think about it too much." And Sarah and I came back the next day, and we both nailed it. And it was, again, that sense of accomplishment of actually doing something, I think really resonates with people, that you just feel it on a humanistic level, that emotionally it sits more and gives you a little bit more sense of accomplishment than going from 200 to 205 or 210.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from that. Again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with lifting more weights and getting stronger. Keep going. I still do it, but to me, it wasn't comparable.
The cool thing about MovNat is I feel like there's different levels of accomplishment too, because you could find, basically anybody can find
100%.
something that they can do
100%.
to make them better.
This, again, is not just a philosophy. It's not just a feel-good kind of a thing. This is an organized system. There is a manual. There is a book that has certain guidelines, and it comes with this general sense of regressions and progressions. And the more that we talk about that, the more that it opens it wide open. If you're struggling with something, add a counterbalance. Put a block underneath you. Post with a hand. Do it this way instead of this way. And it's amazing how you can still accomplish that goal with a slight regression or slight change. I'm so sick and tired of people just fucking giving up because they say, like with hiking, like, "Oh, I can't do that." Really, you can't hike. You can't hike 0.5 miles. You can't hike
how I feel
1
about
mile.
that.
That's what I'm saying. So it's the same thing. You can just apply that to everything else. Now, if you don't want to, that's totally fine. Let's just be honest about your choice of words and what you're saying.
Yes.
If you're saying you can't, I would challenge you on that. If you say, "I don't have time for this," I would challenge you on that too. But if you say, "I don't want to," totally cool. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm on board with you. If you say you can't, I'm going to say, "Okay, well, what does that mean?"
Yeah. It sounds like some of the MovNat principles, or the whole idea of MovNat, can translate really well over to hiking and being in the woods and doing all that.
It's so funny too, because a really good friend of mine, Stefano, he's up in Canada, and he is actually, when I tell him about the long hikes that we do, he's like, "That's bullshit. I don't want to do that anymore." And he's done it before, so he's not just poo-pooing it.
I've seen him online. I'm sure he has.
And he says, "I'd rather go out in the woods and explore it." You know what I mean? Like climb up on those rocks that are there. Instead of being like, "Okay, we got to go, we got 7 miles to do." He wants to get, a mile in, see those rocks and just like climb and try to go from this one to this one and jump and, do all that stuff. And again, I kind of like the balance of it. I like what he's saying. Some days I feel like doing that. I'll go out to, Tripod Rock over around there, and I can putz around there. That's 5 minutes from my house. And other days I'll do 23 miles with you crazy guys, and we'll do that some days. And some days it's running and moving a little faster. But that's what I want for my life for the next 40, 50 years. God bless. And that's what I love to share with people. It's like how you can just keep doing it and do more of whatever you'd like.
I remember you talking about that first time you came out with us. You were talking about MovNat.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand it at that point, but as I've gotten to know you better, I've gotten to know the whole idea of MovNat better.
It's hard because It is a philosophy, certainly. It's a lifestyle, certainly. But it also is a structured program that has instructors and certified instructors and licensed instructors and master instructors and a headquarters and a director. And there's a lot to it, and there's so much depth to it. So sometimes it's hard to explain all that to people.
And what are you now, master instructor?
No.
Okay,
I'm a team instructor. I'm
Okay.
teaching the medical course, and
That's what I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
Because I know you've been traveling and
Yeah.
sharing MovNat with other people in other countries and all that too.
so after about 4 or 5 years of just kind of staying close with the organization, meeting everybody, I was very lucky. I went down to Tulum, Mexico, and I got to meet almost all the team instructors while I was down there. It was just an incredible, amazing experience, and so nice to spend time with people, not only moving and doing stuff, but also after, getting dinner and,
Oh, of
and
course.
having a few margaritas and walking along the streets of Tulum.
The essence of life.
Yeah, exactly. So that was great. And then about 2 years ago, they approached me and said, Phil, would you we've been talking about this for probably 5 or 6 years, and just no one else is willing to lead this. Would you be interested in leading this medical program? And I said, absolutely. This is something I've been talking about contributing to or adding to, and it makes complete sense. Again, if we're going to rehab somebody to get back to their life, if you're just rehabbing their shoulder and thinking about their shoulder, come on, we can do better than that. And again, I never want to get rid of or throw out the isolated exercises. I still use them. There's still a place for them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you only have that in your repertoire, or you only have Olympic lifts and power lifts, and you're like, oh, well, I work with all the best athletes and all the these guys and CrossFitters. That's great. That's fine. I hope you have a great time, and I hope you're enjoying and loving doing that. But I would say 80 to 90% of my patients are not that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the skills that I'm talking about getting them back to are not clean and jerks and deadlifts and squats and things along those lines. But it's, again, the freaking, I can't emphasize enough. Can you freaking get up off the ground? Because if you can't get up off the ground without using your hands, why are you squatting 275 and 325 and 350? Again, if that's your hobby, if you're a competitive powerlifter, completely makes sense to me.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying you should never do that, but I'm just saying, why are you doing it? If you have an answer for me, great. Then I'd love to hear it and let's talk about it a little bit more. But again, can you get up off the ground without using your hands? Simple question.
Yeah, I remember you asking me that question because we did do that class that one time.
Yep.
Remember, a few of us came out to do the class with you.
That was so cool because, again, we're just in this park.
Yep.
It's not a playground. It's not set up for anything. And you just I remember we found cobblestones and we were balancing on them.
Yes.
I remember we went to the fence and we were climbing on that.
I remember climbing the fence,
Yeah,
particularly.
So it's just being able to see these objects as potentials for something for you to play on, and then that curiosity. This is what I really love about it. This is what I think my patients connect with me about is the exploration of something and the playfulness of it. That it's not just they're not getting a rote program that I've given to every single patient.
Yes.
But it's okay, what are we doing today? And okay, you're good at that, but how about what if I change this? Again, so much of medicine is just, okay, here's your pill, yep, you use this pill, you get this pill.
There's a lot of that.
So the same thing with physical therapy. Okay, you're getting these 5 exercises, you're getting these 5 exercises, you're getting these 5 exercises. And again, that's just not how I choose to live my life. And when I go to work, my brain is on. I'm excited to use it. Let's freaking do something. Let's not just go through the motions. And so when I have that ability to push somebody a little bit, to challenge them, I'm absolutely going to jump on it.
Now, this may go against what you just said.
Yeah.
But do you have a general piece of advice you can give people regarding mobility and moving naturally?
It has nothing to do with your body. Not nothing. Okay, let's be honest. All right.
Yeah,
Let's not get. We can't throw.
Can't detach from your body.
You can't throw the baby out of the bath. Right. You can't get rid of the anatomy and physiology. That stuff is there. If you have osteoarthritis, I don't want to take away from people. Or if you've had, a labral tear in your shoulder, I don't want to take away from that. That stuff exists and it's there and it's very real. But if I was going to give people a general piece of advice for the 2 people who are listening to our podcast right now, I would say that the best thing to do is to give yourself more credit than you think of.
Okay.
I mean, I think about people, my patients, I said, oh my God, I didn't think I could do that. Yes. Did I help them a little bit? Yes. Did I give them some guidance to do a joint mobilization that helped them? Maybe. But they had it within them and I gave them a little bit of help. And the thought process of society, that's the downfall of physical society that I see, is giving up. Seeing a downward spiral. We just say, oh, I'm in my 30s, I can't do this. I'm in my 40s, I can't do this. I'm in my 50s, I can't do this.
Pet peeve.
That's the downward spiral. Am I going to bring everybody back to being 20 years old? Am I going to bring everybody to running a 5K or a marathon? No, absolutely not. I do not have any fantasies about that. But if I can change that downward spiral of theirs to a slightly upward spiral where they can go on a hike for a mile or two or three, where they can get down and off the ground easier without feeling like, oh, can you help me, my back? Again, I don't want to take away from injuries and pain that is real. But I think that people are more capable or closer than they think, and they just give up. And then that, again, it's a small give up, but it ends up being a downward spiral into you're in a wheelchair, you're at a nursing home, something along those lines.
Oh, yeah. And I totally relate with that right there.
Yeah.
That people don't always believe they could, they think they could do less than they can. And it's so nice for what I do is seeing people at the end.
And that's exact, Joe. And, talk about karma coming back to you, because that's what you've done for me, is that with hiking, I've always thought that this was my limit, whether it's 5 miles, 7 miles, 10 miles, and you've constantly challenged it. I remember even 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, I'm just, Joe, hey, I'm not the guy that's going to do the Devil's Path in one day. Like, I'm not going to do the Presidential Traverse. Look, I'll do these 10 miles, these 12 miles. And I'll, they can be hard hikes. I'll do Breakneck Ridge. Like, great. I'm really excited for that. Goth, Northern Green. I'll do all those challenges with you, but I'm not the guy that does that stuff. And lo and behold,
maybe you weren't,
I am that,
but you are.
I am now. So,
Definitely.
Again, it's the same thing. And as long as I have my answer, this is the key now.
Yep. As
As long as I have my answer, that I actually want to do this, and I know why I want to do. I'm not just doing this to, oh, look what I did, and to put an accomplishment and achievement on it. As long as I really question myself, it's something that I really take a lot of times, thinking about going up to do the Great Range. I'm like, do I really want to do this, Phil? And if my answer is going to be no, then I'm not going. But if my answer is yes, I do want to do this, and I'm just feeling scared, then that's different, So people need to, I think, really explore that for themselves. And again, this is a simple answer, but it's not easy. Is emotionally being honest with yourself, being aware of what's going on internally, and then making your decisions that way.
I think it's one of the greatest things you can do is inspire and motivate people in life. So
yeah,
that's a good thing.
John, I'm sure John told you the story when we went up Colden,
yep.
Colden, and I got to the top, and I literally freaked out to the point where I thought there was no way that I could walk back down, and we ended up taking the long way back around. Now, John is disappointed about that story for a number of different reasons. I mean, who cares? We got back, and we still had a good time and everything. But I still, to this day, I think, like, what was that? And, if I'm going to go to therapy, like, that's what I'm going to talk to my therapist about, is like, why? Sometimes we need help to figure that answer out. But it's about exploring, not just externally, right, with the trail and finding this mountain that's beautiful, but exploring internally and saying, what's going on for me? Why am I behaving this way? What are these feelings that are coming up? Can you name them? And can you choose then, what your path's going to be?
So it's November 2018.
Yeah.
That's your first hike with us over at Schunemunk. We have a Merrill promotion going on that day. How did you find us, and why did you look for us?
So I mean, social media is the easy answer.
Yep.
And I have no idea why you and another unnamed organization popped up on my feed. Maybe you paid for advertising that week. I don't know. But you guys both popped up. And so I started to look into it. And, I was at a time in my life where I had young kids. I guess they were about 5 and 8 at the time, or 9. And, a lot of your life revolves around kids and family stuff. And I still felt the need to get out and, have my own personal life, and just going out with my other dads to get a beer and watch football just was not my thing. And so this group sounded like something that I'd like to do, and it was a little bit of a challenge. Like Schunemunk, man, I never drove more than 20 freaking minutes to go on a hike.
I was going to ask if you had been there before.
No, no, Joe. Again, all the stuff that I've accomplished like has just been in really the last like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really in a bubble. Bergen County. I grew up in Bergen County in New Jersey. I lived here my whole life. Like 25, 30 minutes from where I grew up, and I've done the same hikes over and over again, and I love them and I enjoy them. And to me, stepping out of my comfort zone was going on the blue trail instead of the red trail. Like, come on.
Over in the Ramapo Mountains area.
Yeah. So you could see how this is not like an exciting story up until this point. And then, going to Schunemunk and just being like, look, I'm going to spend a morning and we're going to go out for a couple hours, and these people are total strangers and I have no idea. And just throw caution to the wind and check it out. And sure enough, it was awesome. I mean, it really, the same way that originally starting hiking caught my eye and caught my excitement, just views and, getting somewhere. Schunemunk was great, just all the rock on the top and that ridge line that you're walking along.
Oh, yeah.
And again, just connecting with people. I mean, to me, again, I was just asking you, well, why are you doing something? Why do you go to the gym? Why do you do that? One of the biggest reasons that I have gone on these hikes, because again, now that I've increased my knowledge base of where I can go hiking, I could go anywhere, but it's the social aspect and the people that I connect with that this has really been an outlet for, I want to say like-minded people. And it's so hard because in today's day and age, we're looking for the perfect person, like everybody's not a parent, or a lot of the group isn't parents, I'm one of the older people that's in the group, and there's a lot of the things where you could say we're very, 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 very different. But the same, just the fact that you're freaking spending a day or a weekend going on this hike, there's our commonality and our connection.
Absolutely.
And so you know what? I can't find that in a lot of suburban dads or moms. And, so I'm really, really lucky that I have this group that I can find it.
Oh, we're lucky that you found us. Really, really. We got a good group of people together.
Really good. That's one of the biggest things. I mean, we were just talking about how many people that I've gotten to know.
Yeah.
And I feel like I really know them. John, Aaron, Kevin, yourself, Brittany, Brenda, Vanessa. These are people that I feel like I've been out with a couple of times. We're not all friends, and some of them are, John, Aaron, and Kevin, I talk to them all the time. And the other ones I'm not, but it's like cousins, you see them at the family events and you're like, oh, how's it going? How's this going? How's teaching? How's school? Where have you been going lately? And it's nice to catch up.
Yeah, we're like an extended family, like we were saying.
Let's do it. Let's go with that now.
And I do love, Schunemunk is its own little world over there. It seems like it's detached from all the rest of the mountains.
It's not Harriman, it's not the Catskills. And I was really, as I was driving up there, I'm like, I'm going the wrong way. What the hell is this? And until I pulled up and you guys were there, I was like, okay.
What were your first impressions when you pulled up?
What's funny is, I forget who it was, but somebody had the same exact car as me.
Okay.
And so right off the bat, I was like, oh, that's cool.
You find the commonality, right?
Yeah. And then, you know what? I'll be honest with you, it was all insecurity. I'm like, oh, these guys are all experienced hikers. Like, everyone's got their boots and their gear. And I had like a little pack with some water and, I don't even know what else I was wearing, but I definitely didn't have any hiking gear much.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just felt like, okay, let's give this a shot.
I think it's funny that you say that. Speaking about Schunemunk and not having gear, because then the next year, the next August 2019, we did the Schunemunk tour, which is many more miles, and we move a lot faster, and you wore sandals on that one.
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
So that was not my best decision because I had forgotten how much of the ridge was covered with rock.
Yep.
The mileage was fine because I did Goth with the Earth Runners and that was totally fine. And I've done other hikes that were totally fine. It's just walking on that much rock face is not so fine. And that day was like 90 degrees. Too.
It was like 90 degrees. We were talking about milkshakes way too early.
Yep.
Way too early.
Yep. I ran out of water. I forgot my hat. So like literally, like everything was not. You know what? There's two ways you can look, right? Life is perspective. So there's two ways you can look at that day. You can either look at that was really, 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 really dumb and I made a lot of bad decisions, or you can look at it as that we freaking survived with very minimalistic attire and we pushed our bodies to the limit and things along those lines. So I'm gonna go with the second one, and I'm gonna try not to make those same mistakes in the future. But I'm gonna go with the second one that we kind of kicked ass that day.
I think we did.
Yeah,
I definitely think we did. Do you have a particular hike that you remember most from being out with us, or that you're most proud of?
So definitely the more challenging. I guess that the Devil's Path is just really something that was, just huge for me. I mean, I feel like you really drove the team, and I mean, you were really far ahead at some points, and it was good. It was good to feel like you were pulling the team forward, and John and Spence and I were back a little bit further, and I think you were up a little bit more, but it was. I mean, right from that day that was an awesome day.
That was
do you remember right from the start that picture?
Oh yeah.
The picture I'm talking about?
Underclass clouds.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
I actually share that with a friend of mine, and he now used that as the cover page for his website, for his business.
Oh,
he started
awesome.
a business.
That's great.
And he's like, "Can you send me that picture?" And I sent it to the picture that I took, and that's the cover of his website now. So that day started out pretty awesome, and then start to suck, of course, as we were. After we left Devil's Campground and we started going
back up Hunter.
That's
where it always gets you.
It was just like, why am I doing this? What the hell? And it was hot that day.
It was very hot.
But that's the one that probably I'm most proud of. But each one has an individual fun little story. I mean, I went with you guys for the first time to Stone Living Room.
Yes.
Not a challenging hike at all. But just to find a place like that, again, Schunemunk, I never knew. Now, every time I drive up the throughway, I'm like,
spot it out.
It is, right? But if you asked me 20 years ago, I would have no idea where it is.
And real quick, how do you mean getting up without using your hands? Like Indian cross or like?
So sit cross-legged.
Okay.
Yeah, see how we do here.
Now stand up. You can put your hands out. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so that's one way. Cross your legs. And now just stand up from there.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
You got it.
I have 22, 24-year-old interns that are going to school for physical therapy. Like, after the first week, they're getting in. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, do it. And they're like, they can't.
They can't do it.
I was a bit worried, but...
but you did it, so you don't need to be worried anymore.
Every year on your birthday, just check that. Just be like, can I still get up off the floor?
But then what happens the 1 year where you're like,
you can't. Yeah, then you go, okay, I got to work on that.
So, Schunemunk, November 2018, 6-mile easy hike.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about May 2022, 24 miles, 9,000 feet of the Devil's Path.
Yeah.
At what point, because you had said you wouldn't be able to do Devil's Path, you didn't want to do Devil's Path, you didn't think you could.
Yep.
At what point did you realize that you could and that you would?
So this is going to be terrible and my parents are going to be very mad, but it's because I got peer pressured into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, my friends told me that I should do it.
Which people told you that?
I'm going to say mostly John, but yeah, you, Aaron, Kevin, Spence, pretty much everyone else, yeah. But so here's the thing, right? Yeah. So what's the line between peer pressure and between encouragement, right? So my friends, you weren't telling me to jump off a bridge. You were telling me to,
accomplish something.
Hike up 7 mountains in one day. So yeah, but so at what point, I don't know, it's still I still have my doubts all the time, and we still have these insecurities, and this is, one of the things that actually, I'm talking about with my, just being completely honest, I talk about with my therapist about this, why do every time, I keep freaking kicking ass with these hikes.
Yeah.
No problem. It's not like, oh, I almost didn't make it. Yeah, it was hard, but it's not like we went 17 hours on the DP or I've done DP, Prezi,
you've done a bunch of big ones, yeah.
You think at some point in my head, I'd be like, oh, okay, I got this. And it still doesn't click. So, that's the work that we all got to do with stuff, whether it's a bad habit or something else that we do that's just repetitive over and over again. And, asking ourselves, why am I feeling this way? Why do I doubt myself? Why am I unsure of if I want to go on this hike or not. Like, I really do want to go on this hike to the Great Range, but I'm still not 100% committed to it. You know what I mean? So that's where I appreciate you guys. You know, you guys lifted me up, you boosted me, you gave me the confidence to say, like, you got this, you can do this. And lo and behold, you're right. We'll see if that starts to stick.
All this hiking, what type of changes do you feel like hiking has had on your overall fitness or even your mental health?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, it's definitely kept my endurance up. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Because, again, once you get, you know, into your 30s, like, what else are you doing? You're just going to run on the treadmill all the time or do the elliptical, you know? So I think that hiking, and going back to natural movement, like, hiking just offers you so much diversity. And that, to me, is, people say, what's the key to fitness? I say it's diversity. So it's not that we try to specialize, right? That's what's my problem. My complaint is with the current fitness and current medical is that we tend to, the models are specializing and looking for the best thing that is absolutely the best product, and then everyone uses it. And that's not my belief. I believe that having diversity and variability, which, again, what has more diversity and variability than hiking?
Absolutely.
You can run on the trail. You can go uphill, downhill, rocks, no rocks, tree roots. Use your arms. Sometimes you got to scramble up. Sometimes you're carrying a pack, no pack. You know, short distance, long distance, social, footwear, right? Like, I'll go with, you know, when we're doing the Great Range, I'm going to wear my trail runners. But I did Schunemunk and Goth with the earth runners and the sandals. And then there's times when I'll go with my family, do 3 miles barefoot. You know, the point is that it has the potential to give me lots of variability. Again, so I'll have to bring back scientifically. So scientifically, you're getting arm swing, trunk rotation, spine, hips, knees, ankles, cardiovascular, and I agree with him 100%.
Have you ever recommended it to any of your patients?
All the
to go
time.
hiking?
All the time. And like you said, the mental health issue, the mental health awareness of it, you know, just being outdoors, away from everything. For me, it's, I mean, personally, it's beyond that. It's the challenge. It is the challenge to say, like, okay, what am I afraid of? Let's go do this. Let's overcome it and let's confront it and see what's actually there. So for people, the same thing. Like, do you think that this is your life and this is what you really believe, or can you go out there and do something and maybe show yourself something different?
Are you scared of heights?
Very much so.
You are.
No. Wait.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
So to clarify, the point is, I figured out I'm afraid of ledges, and I learned this when I was in Costa Rica. I was zip lining, and I loved zip lining. And the first one, you're like on a platform, and they like push you out, and you go for about 30 feet in the woods, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, you're like out over this lake.
Okay.
And you're, I don't even know how high, but you're really, really high, right? And I was just, this is so awesome. I was completely relaxed and no stress, no worries. We do 1, 2, 3, 4 zip lines, and then you get to a suspension bridge that you're standing on, and I'm freaking out. So that's what it is. Like, if I can see underneath me and to feel a sense of like there's nothing there to hold on to, that's it. So if I'm in a tall building that has a wall and windows, I'm okay. You take away the windows and you put a railing, suddenly I feel like I'm about to lose it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It is.
So every time when John sends me a video of you guys like hovering over the edge, and it's people too, right? It's like my friends, when my kids do it, they'll go right over to the edge and they're looking, and I will grab them, and my palms are sweating. You know.
Just last night, John sent me a video on Instagram of a woman walking up to a waterfall, and he said to send it to Phil as a joke. That the woman walks right up to the waterfall and she's like, "Oh, it's so beautiful," and literally it looks like she walks right off of it and falls, and she's holding the camera the whole time, so you can see her going straight into the waterfall. So I guess that's a.
She did it purposely, or she fell?
I mean, it looked like she did it stupidly, like just like she wasn't trying to do it, but she definitely got way too close to the ledge there.
That's my point. I mean, you know, like, to talk to the legitimate aspect of it, we can trip and fall at any time.
Yes.
You know, there's two things. MovNat always talks about risk versus danger, right? So the risk is what's the chances of you failing, and danger is what happens if you fail, right? So the chance of you all of a sudden tripping and falling at that moment is probably really, really low. Let's be honest. But if you do, you're done.
Absolutely.
So can I sit on that ledge? Like, yeah, I've sat on benches, I've sat on chairs my whole life, so I could probably sit down there. But if I mess that up, I'm gonna go. That's it.
Exactly.
Game over.
Exactly. Is there any particular exercise that would help people with their balance the most?
Yeah, so balance is the most under practiced, right? Least practiced activity. And people always complain, but that's the number one complaint that I get with the older patients. Hey, I'm here for my shoulder, but while we're here, can I work my balance?
Mm-hmm.
And, there's not one answer. There's studies out there that show that if you cannot stand on one leg for 30 seconds, that you have like a 300% higher rate of falling and, breaking your hip.
I've seen that.
And if you can hold it for 30 seconds, you have like 40% reduction. So obviously we know that your ability to balance has a difference. But does that mean that everyone should just practice standing on one leg? That's not bad exercise. But what about when you're moving around more? So, the one thing that I recommend to patients is a 2x4. It's simple enough. You can go back and forth, you could turn, you could practice. And having that narrow base of support really makes a big difference. You can turn your head while you're doing it. Like I said before, there's so many progressions that you can add onto it that it really is the simplest and easiest tool.
So simple.
So simple. The other thing is just practice it while you're out. Walk on a curb, walk on rocks, walk on different surfaces and get that while you have the opportunity. Don't shy away from it.
My other question is there something that people should avoid doing?
It circles back to the same answer. Obviously there's liability reasons that I can't tell people just to do everything and keep doing it because you'll be fine.
Yes.
Because I don't know them, and each person is an individual case by case. But don't give up on yourself. That is the advice that I'll give people. That is the exercise that they should be doing. There's not one. It's just the fact that you have to not give up on yourself and at least try or look for some kind of, even if you do it halfway. Maybe you can get to 3/4 and then get to doing it all the way. But if you can go halfway or 3/4 of the way and you just give up, you're going to get down to zero. And that's just where your body's going to, that's anatomically, physiologically, scientifically correct what's going to happen. If you don't use it, you lose it. You know that.
I was going to say that earlier, so I'm glad you said that.
So you're just going to you're just accepting the downward spiral of aging.
Now I'm going to close up this section of it by asking you about 5 hikes. And I just want your memories or any recollections you have of them. Okay? So let's see. We've already discussed your first hike, Schunemunk, and we've already discussed Devil's Path. So I'm going to use 5 others.
Okay.
All right?
Hope I can remember them.
Let's see. That's what I'm interested to see here. Let's see. I'll start with one that you did bring up. You didn't talk too much about. The Osseo-Torn Mixer from February 10th, 2019.
That was the first time I went to Stone
Living Room, yep.
Yeah. That was fun. Well, I felt bad at first, actually, because Merrill was promoting these boots, and I really, I hope I can say this, but I hated them. And I was like, they didn't look good, and I was not a fan, and everything. But I get it. Like, it's not like the rep picked those boots.
Yes.
She didn't pick those boots. Merrill tells them what they need to promote. So
that's right.
So that's fine. But then it was just, fun being, that was the first, I couldn't believe that I lived 5 minutes from there. I had been on the hike going the opposite direction to the waterfall.
Yep.
And I'd never been on that side.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I thought, shit, this is good for me. This is good for me to explore new things. And again, I think we did 3 miles, 3.5.
It was like 3 miles with 30 people.
I've probably been back there 8 to 10 times since then.
Uh-huh. Nice. I like when you find places that make you think about other places there might be out there,
Yeah.
Here's a good one. The North Point Easter egg hunt from April 14th, 2019.
Yeah, that was I wonder if that was the one. I'm trying to think. There was 2 or 3 that I brought my kids.
Yeah, you brought your kids on that one, yeah.
Bryce and Micah, and they were awesome. And I remember there's one we had to leave early. Was that the one?
I think that was the one. I'm pretty sure.
Right, I remember we were on a rock slab, and I was like, Joe, we've got to get out of here, and we just took off and got ahead of you guys a little bit.
It may have been that
which was fine. But it was just also, again, knowing that I can share this with my family. And
yes.
And to me, it was great that I do remember Bryce was up front. I forget who was leading the hike, but I remember he was up front, and like I could barely see him, and I wasn't the one leading him. I wasn't telling him to go any further, and he was just up there doing it. And so I remember that moment being really proud that I could share this with him. And it's not just me; it's other people that enjoy doing it.
Yep.
He could talk to other people. You know, Micah was talking to other people, and that they had that outlet. And hiking is not just us and boring. You know, because sometimes it could be. If I went with the same people all the time, you know, it's nice to have some diversity. So it was good that they were able to do it. I remember, I think Kristen and Mary Beth brought their kids too.
That's
so
right.
it was like, great. All right, let's do this. So
That's a good memory.
and those Easter, you guys put out some
We
put out some good golden eggs, like big ones.
We did put out some good eggs out there.
Yeah.
I remember we were hiding them all over the top of the mountain.
And to this day, I still bribe my kids with whenever they go camp. This is partially you and partially John getting this idea that they can have whatever they want when they go for a hike. They can go and buy a Hershey's bar. They can buy Reese's peanut butter cups. They can get whatever. They get one thing, whatever they want.
That's nice. That's perfect.
Exactly.
It's a good prize.
Yeah.
And they've made room for it.
Exactly.
Third one. Guardians of the Highlands, the first one. May 11th, 2019.
Yeah, I think that was my first challenge. That's where I was like, oh my God, let's see what we're going to do here.
Yep.
And that's where I started to be like, okay, like relax, Phil, you can do this. That's the first time I met Aaron and Kevin. So that was cool. Kevin and I were talking about fitness for a little while. And it's so funny because I really thought that he was like in the fitness industry. And he's actually a finance guy.
Yes. Yeah.
That, I don't know, maybe he dreams of opening a CrossFit box one day, so maybe he will.
I would love that.
That would be awesome. I'd definitely sign up to be there. Yeah, that. And that one I did with the sandals too.
Yeah, that's right.
But listen. So there's different kinds of earth runners.
Okay.
Right? And the ones that I have on today are like, I think they're 8 or 10 millimeter soles. I didn't realize I bought the 6 millimeter soles.
Okay.
And so those were like literally
Super
the thinnest ones I could be on. But again, it felt okay. So it really was just having a group, feeling okay, and being like, yeah, we could do this.
Mm-hmm.
And we got back up to we ended at Perkins Tower, right?
Yes, we did. It was one of my favorite endings of a hike. It just felt so good.
There was like 15 up. It was like a really, really good group.
That was like where we had all the members. Because at that point, I had started selling the memberships, and we started having members involved. And that one just seemed to have the whole group there. The whole group was there that day.
Was that Bald Mountain where we took the picture?
Yes.
You,
the one with us.
I don't know.
Me, you, and Aaron.
Aaron, right? We're all bald guys.
Bald Mountain.
We did that. Tip by 2. Like we were like started running at some
Tip
point.
by 12.
Tip by 12. Okay. So yeah, that's again that
memories.
That's where I really started to feel like this was a good group. I didn't feel like, oh my God, this is so far way above my physical capability. It felt social, it felt joking, it felt physically challenging though, you know, where it was something more than I've ever done. But yeah, that's where it started to click to me like, all right, I like this group. I like these guys.
Pyramid Mountain, March 14th, 2020.
Yep.
Pyramid Mountain at the end of the world.
So you know, this is just talks though about the proactive hikes. And like I'm so glad you brought that one up because what that makes me think about is getting to know some people that I didn't know as well. And specifically, I just remember Vanessa being there. I think it was Vanessa.
Pretty sure she was there.
And we were just talking. I got to know like, oh, she's a teacher. Oh, she's right in Bergen County. Like, you know, some people come 30, 45 minutes from away. And some people I think live in Pennsylvania and you know, a little bit further. And she was like right there and she taught and you know, so we just had a couple of things that we were able to talk about, and it was nice because I'd seen her on 1 or 2 other hikes. Was she the one that also used to bring like a tray of brownies?
Yes, that was her.
Yep. So that's what I knew about her. And I mean, talk about like just selfishly, just wanting her to be on a hike just so we can get some brownies or
she's
cookies.
A very good baker and very good cook.
But now, so it was nice to, you know, the hike itself. That one I'd been on a couple times before, but to be on it with a different group. And to just get to know people, take the time to get to know people a little bit better. That was cool.
And that was right the day before they shut everything down.
That's the weird thing, but I don't associate it at all with like I remember that. I remember it was super crowded.
Super crowded because everyone was getting their last licks in.
My friend called me as we were starting the hike and to tell me that his wife was pregnant. So I remember that Kevin and Laura. I remember that.
Wow.
And then I remember, I guess we're at. What's the other rock? Not Tripod Rock. There's another rock. Bear Rock? No.
I can't.
There's another rock. I
Offhand,
think it's
I don't
called Bear Rock, and that's the one that we were by. Nobody else was around, and and I just remember just standing there and talking to everybody and getting to know the group.
It's a good day.
So yeah, it doesn't have to be. Sometimes it's about the hike and the challenge and push, and sometimes it's about taking your time and going nice and easy.
And the last hike I'll ask you about is recently. It was August 5th, 2023. Breakneck 7.5.
Yeah.
But you did that first section all the way to the fire tower.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one helps me. That one kept me in check. That was a gut check, and that was an honesty. Like, I need to be honest with myself, because like I've talked about, I've always been athletic. I've sometimes I swing where I need to be more open-minded to what I'm capable of doing, and then other times I need to realize that I still need to train more. And so that was the check into keeping me back. That again, if I'm going to do the Great Range, and last weekend I did a half marathon, so if I'm going to do that stuff, I do have to start. You can't just pick up the shoes and go. I mean, you can, but it's going to suck more, and you're not going to enjoy it as much. And it was cool. I was pumped to try to keep up with you and Vanessa. Vanessa, you started walking. Vanessa started jogging, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta jog now, and just to keep up with you guys. And so when we got to the bottom, and I felt, like I kicked my ass, I kind of said, man, I wish I could have done another lap or two, but if I'm going to next time, I'm going to have to train, and I'm gonna have to
Prepare for it.
Yeah, prepare for it a little bit. It's just like, I don't know, you remember Northern Green last year?
Yes, Winaki Derby.
That's the only time that I bailed out on a hike, and it was a good lesson, to say that that's okay. I got to the 15-mile mark. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling good. And I knew that emotionally I had the stress. I was going to a Halloween party that night. So I knew that I was going to be, the whole time, the second half, that's all I would be thinking of was, oh, we're not fast enough. We're not fast enough. My knee hurts. We're not fast enough. My knee hurts. Again, when you're on the devil's path, like, you're just going to finish it.
Yeah.
But here, I was like right close to home. I had just done 15 miles, and I was honest with myself that I had not been training. I overestimated the ease of it, or the difficulty of it, and I said, oh, it's not as much vertical, and it's it's going to be a little bit easier. But
it's rough over there.
It's rough. Just the freaking rocks are a pain in the ass. You're never walking or jogging.
I think right before you had left, we all took a fall in succession.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't an easy one.
Loose rock and missteps and things like that.
And you did 15 miles though. It's an accomplishment.
Exactly. I'll take that. That's what I said. I said just take the 15 and go home. Don't try to push it. Because if I pushed it, to be honest, I would have had a lot of negative feelings about that hike.
I'm sure you would.
And stress and cortisol release and anxiety. But now I have, telling myself it's okay to bail out. It's
good lesson.
Not right.
Phil, you have any books you'd like to recommend to people?
Oof. Wow. I haven't really been giving out too much advice, because a lot of times I've gotten really.
You've given me some good ones.
All right. So my go-to, every year I buy my cousin a book, and he gives me fiction. He gives me fiction, I give him nonfiction.
Uh-huh.
And I've always given him. I really like The Art of Happiness, actually, by the Dalai Lama. But then Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman is huge. And the one book that really changed my life was it's called Nonviolent Communication. Marshall Rosenberg. Don't worry, the title does not capture the gist of it, but it basically helps you to be able to communicate through naming feelings and emotions and needs, that basically, like, you and I can't get into an argument. If you and I both use nonviolent communication, we wouldn't be able to argue. We would just share what we're seeing, what we're feeling, and that's it. Like, you can't argue with my feelings, and I can't argue with your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So that really opened a big doorway for me emotionally. So those are some of my favorite ones. That one's like my sleeper book. If you read it, you can easily be like, okay, but if you implement it, it can be life changing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about music? What kind of music you do?
Music, oh man, anything like from the 80s.
You're an 80s guy.
Like, just like 80s, 90s. I'm 80s, 90s. If you put one versus the other, I have a really, really hard time, because on the one hand, you've got like, 99 Red Balloons, Safety Dance, Toto, like all those one-hit wonders in the 80s. And then in the 90s, you've got Blink 182, so there's a lot of differences there.
It is funny. The 80s had a lot of good one-hit wonders. Like, there were some solid one-hit wonders in the 80s.
If it's 80s night out somewhere, like, I'm happy.
Uh-huh.
That's all I want for my birthday. Like, just put on, what music should we play? Just put on the 80s and let's just let it roll, and eventually all the good songs come.
So, at this point in your life, what are your goals?
Oh, my goals are to just strengthen the relationships that I want to strengthen, whether it's with my family, whether it's with a couple of friends, and have some nice, good, solid friendships, and learn more about myself so that I can enjoy more of my life and be less reactive.
Okay.
Just not making decisions or snapping at my kids or getting upset about things as much, and being able to just say, look, this is how it is, and understanding what I want to do and dedicating more time to it, dedicating more money to it, or things along those lines, and cutting away the things that I'm maybe doing just because, again, trying to get mom and dad's attention, or because I feel like I'm supposed to, or just because I can do something doesn't mean that I want to do it. And even coming here today, I really, like I said, I question everything. So I question this. I'm like, oh, am I doing this to get, popular? And like I said, are the 5 or 6 people that are listening, are they going to think highly of me? And
the 506 people that are listening.
You ever see Will Ferrell did that? He won an award. He won the Mark Twain Award on PBS. He goes to the everyone here in the audience and to the hundreds of people listening at home, because it was PBS. So.
Yeah. That's great.
But anyway, again, am I coming here just to get more popular and to get people to like me more? And the answer to that was no. Like, I'm here to do my buddy a favor, or was trying to start up something that I admire and I appreciate everything. I mean, how many times did you drive me up to the Catskills? I drove down, met up with you, and you drove me up to the Catskills. You showed me so many different hikes, so easily I can invest a couple of hours to help you out with this.
Appreciate that.
So, yeah. But again, do we always, answer that for ourselves? No. Something's just like, okay, I'm going to go do this. Whether it's a hike, a job, a relationship, and just going through the motions. Like, if it's not working, don't do it. And if you don't want to do it, or if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then don't do it. But, at least be honest with yourself. So I want to be more honest with myself, have more clarity, and make my life overall easier so that I can enjoy the relationships I have, whether it's work, home, family, friends, and go on the hikes that I want to go on, and not just,
I like that.
Yeah. Wait, can I ask you a question too now?
Please go ahead.
Okay, this is my philosophical questions I ask.
What do you got?
Deal or no deal? Okay? There's $1 million on the board. Potentially,
Okay.
there's a suitcase that could be worth $1 million.
Okay.
And there's one that's $1. Okay? I'll give you $100,000. Do you take that, or do you have a 50-50 on the suitcase?
The $1 million suitcase?
It's 50-50. You're going to open one of the two suitcases. It could be $1, or it could be $1 million.
Or you're going to give me $100,000?
Or I'm going to give you $100,000.
I'll take the $100,000.
Really? With taxes and everything?
You didn't say anything about taxes.
Well, of course, you're on a game. There's prizes, it's probably, 30%?
Let's see. I think I'd still take the $100,000.
Really? You wouldn't go for $1 million? $1 million would change your life, man.
But one wouldn't.
It's true. Would you rather have $1 million now, or $1 billion in 10 years?
$1 million now.
Really?
Yes.
$1 billion could change your life.
$1 million would change my life.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I might not make it that far.
Okay, last one. Can I do one more?
Nope,
I hijacked your podcast.
That's fine. No, I never get asked any questions around here.
Last one. I'm kind of wondering what Jarod would say now with these two. All right. Last one. Would you rather be able to run 100 miles per hour?
Okay.
Or you could have the power to fly, but it would only be 10 miles an hour, a lot slower?
That's a good one. I think my personal, I'd rather be able to run 100 miles an hour.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Like I said to you in the car this morning, I like my feet.
You like to get places
I like to
quickly.
get places quickly.
Yeah. I always pick flying.
You pick
Like,
flying.
no matter what it is, it's like, man, you could fly. Like you can always get in a car and go 100 miles an hour. You can go, something else. You can fly, in an airplane. But to be able to just achieve flight, it's crazy, man.
I mean, I guess that's why I climb mountains. It shows views from the mountains.
All
But
right.
I also feel like when I run 7 miles an hour or whatever it is,
Feels pretty cool.
and I feel that wind in my face, I can only imagine what 100
miles an
hour
hour
feel like.
All right, I'll give you that.
All right. Is there any particular piece of equipment that you would recommend to people or that you feel has made a big change in the way you hike?
So, no. There's, it's use your eyes.
Okay.
Look around, see what's around you, and just be aware. Your eyes are what help you to navigate this world,
Okay.
right? And to see what's out there in front of you. I don't care what brand of sneakers you wear. I don't care, what, I just had a friend convince me to use hiking poles for the first time, right?
How'd you like that?
It was different. That's all I'll say, man. Everything's different, It's not better or worse. It's just a different experience. So part of me felt like I was jipping my legs of the experience, and part of me felt like it was nice to have my arms helping out my legs for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, whatever perspective you want to take. But beyond that, I've talked about the earth runners that I use. I'll walk around town with them, and I'll, go hiking with them. But like you said, when you're out there, that's the equipment, whether it's a playground or a park or a bench or a tree, like that's the equipment. And don't overlook that. Again, we feel better when we buy something and when we spend money, right? If you get something for free, you're like, was it really worth it? But if you spend $100 on it, you're like, yeah, this is great. I got my $100 rock or whatever it is, So don't overlook the stuff that's right there in front of you and out in the open for you to use all the time. Whether it's a hiking trail, whether it's rock, tree, park bench, park, playground, go for it.
Can I ask you a question about the earth runners?
Yeah.
Do they help with like balance or a particular thing or just the connectivity with the ground? Is that it?
So what it is that if you think about it, imagine using your keyboard wearing oven mittens.
Okay.
Right? Like you could probably do
like
it.
that.
Like you could figure it
Yeah,
out.
okay.
Don't get me wrong. And your body would adapt to it. Maybe we would get a different keyboard. Maybe, you figure out how it would work.
Mhm.
But we started wearing sneakers and sneakers got more. This is the whole thing, right? This is the same as the fitness industry. We get better technology, which I'm not arguing with.
Yeah.
So when you are going out running or playing a sport, it is important to have that best sneaker. But when you are walking around town and you're wearing that sneaker, that might not be the best thing for you, right? And I'm not saying we should never wear sneakers. That's ridiculous. We live in an concrete jungle here in New York City, and that probably wouldn't be very, very reasonable. But the question is, are you reliant on your sneakers, right? So the earth runners allow you to have something between you and the ground, so that because we're not adapted to be able to walk barefoot all the time. Again, there's concrete, there's even rocks and sticks. It takes a little bit of time to get used to that. But the earth runners they give you something under your foot. It's stable and it hooks onto your foot. You could run with them, you could work out with them, you could do whatever you wanted to, but it's just something there. It's not better or worse. It just decreases that reliance on sneakers. When people say, how many people have plantar fascia, right? And this is how my feet are. I wake up in the morning, my foot hurts, and I have plantar fascia. I've had it my whole life, and it's just how it is. I'm like, man, that's not okay.
Right.
That's the downward spiral that we're talking about. So the earth runners just open things up, and go back to Katie Bowman, her book, Whole Body Barefoot. She talks about you either have too much stability and you need more mobility, or you have too much mobility and you need more strength and stability. And that's it. But the sneaker allows you to completely negate that, never have that conversation. So if you're constantly in a sneaker, even if you walk around your house barefoot, great. Walking around outside with sandals or flip-flops, you're getting closer, Is that flip-flop half an inch to an inch thick? That kind of thing. Your foot's not working the way it was designed to work.
Mm-hmm.
Sneakers are designed to mold to your foot, but the foot's not meant to mold to a sneaker. So there's nothing wrong with the sneakers. Just are you relying on them?
Gotcha. Word association?
Let's do it.
Word association. Balance.
Fall.
Longevity.
Happy.
Schunemunk.
Tiresome.
Mobility.
Challenge.
Education.
Broken.
Strength.
Pumping iron.
Movement.
Freedom.
Physical therapy.
Healing.
Breakneck.
Break your neck.
Heights.
Ugh. That's the word.
Devil's path.
Let's do it.
I like that. We will. Mountains.
Amazing views.
Challenge.
Scary.
Drive.
The Catskills are too long of a drive for me.
Different type of drive.
Yep.
Hiking.
Relaxing.
All right.
Yeah, man. It's all your perspective on things.
I guess it is, right?
Is 5 miles easy or hard?
Depends what it is.
Exactly. Was our commute in here long or short?
Both.
Depends. Right?
Seriously.
So that's all life is, man. Perspective.
Phil, thanks for coming in today, man.
Absolute pleasure,
It was a
man.
great time.
It was nice to hang out. It was like a extended interview too with our car ride in.
Yeah, we had plenty of time. We had to make sure we didn't say too much on the way over here. But Phil, thanks again. This has been great. It's Dr. Phil Lombardo. I'm Joe. Find us at Proactive AHW on Instagram, Facebook. That's Jarod. Thank you.